If you watch Fox News or any mainstream news outlet, you have seen our next guest for sure. She is truly amazing, a great publicist, PR, social media. She does a little bit of everything, simply fabulous on TV, has great insider, and she's out of New York, so she's got great insight, and she's been leading the way talking about the coronavirus. She specializes in working with doctors and people in the medical field and getting out what's going on behind the scenes that we're not told about. But let's talk a little bit about Kris Ruby. She is an award-winning social media agency. She runs a social media award-winning agency out of New York. She has more than 12 years of experience in the social media industry. You've seen her on networks, like I said before, Fox, CNN, Newsmax, RT America, Cheddar. She's been there. She's awesome. Let's welcome to the show, Miss Kris Ruby. How you doing, Kris?
Good. How are you? Thanks for having me, Eric.
It's Monday. Another fun Monday. I think, like I said, it's like day 822. I make up new dates every day because I know we're like on week 9, but it just feels like we've been doing this for way too long. And I know you and I have been texting nonstop during this when they sent the National Guard into your hometown for the first time before they locked down everybody else. So yes. How have you been during coronavirus?
Been okay. Thanks for asking. Yeah, I mean, I'm in Westchester County in White Plains, so things have changed substantially here. With the ebb and flow of everything with coronavirus. So we're watching it all play out in real time.
So is your city open now? I know you were kind of the epicenter for a moment. And they called the National Guard in. Has everything kind of died down, or is it still pretty active?
Yeah, I mean, so I believe that cases are continuing to go down here, but I did see something over the weekend that I think there is a spike with people sort of, as there's this increase of wanting to reopen, there has been a direct correlation with increases in coronavirus cases. So that is, of course, the problem that's playing out here and going to play out everywhere on a national scale.
So you are a resident PR expert. I know I lean on you when I want PR advice. You truly are a leader of our industry. So let me ask you, and we see a lot of folks doing this throughout, and I call it, coronavirus jacking or COVID-19 news jacking. It always happens. I mean, we've even seen it with school shootings or anything. People will news jack. So, it's not bad to do it. Some people do it and it makes sense. But how do you do it right? I mean, and how do you do it wrong? Kind of tell folks the good way and the bad way to newsjack.
Yeah, so I think that you have to really have an organic brand tie-in in order to do newsjacking properly. I think that if you're looking to sort of just capitalize on press and then you don't follow up with that afterwards with an ongoing campaign and ongoing PR tactics, that is obviously doing it the wrong way. But again, if you have something that organically ties into this and you can truly add value, and if you can, help, for example, with donating products to frontline healthcare workers or anyone on the front line, really, I think that is a great way to do it. What we're also seeing is that it's not just about donating. You have to donate at scale. So if you look at what brands are making it into the media from a PR perspective right now, they're not brands that are just donating one or two or even a few hundred things. They are brands that are donating thousands upon thousands of products to healthcare workers. So I think that is definitely a great takeaway and tip for your viewers, that if you are looking to try and get in the media right now, you have to be thinking much larger scale than just a few products.
I love that. That is true. You see a lot of people just kind of faking it till they make it, or just some other people have just laid up and just said, I'm not going to do anything during Corona. I'm just going to let it wear out. And I just don't understand. I mean, why would anyone ever decide to just not do anything?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that's really strong brand leadership. I think this is the time where if you're interested at all in becoming a thought leader in your industry, everyone can be a thought leader right now. I mean, look at accountants, for example. We are depending as small business owners on accountants every single day for their insight and leadership into the Paycheck Protection Program and all of the different loans that are happening. And there's massive PR opportunities, not not just because they are looking for media, but because what they have to say can truly add value to thousands of small business owners across the country. And so that's really the way I think you should be approaching PR right now. What can I say? Who can I say it to? And how can I be helpful in this situation?
So let's talk about it. We talked about agencies and owning. As a small business, we all go through this. We have clients, right? And obviously, we're still working. But I know they're out there. I've talked to a lot of business owners, and we have these new toxic coronavirus clients, right? They come in and think because it's COVID-19 time that none of the rules apply to them. Your contracts are basically bunk. How do you get around these toxic people who think that we don't do our jobs, everybody needs to be discounted? That's not how it's going. The grocery store isn't discounting right now. Car dealerships are not discounting their cars. No one is discounting their services. So why should a small business discount to take on what we all know as business owners, a toxic client?
Yeah, Eric, so I think that's a great question. And I think, unfortunately, one of the challenges that we're seeing right now is that the economy and these times during the pandemic are impacting small business owners and pricing and, people saying, I want a coronavirus special, right? So the problem is, as small business owners, many of us have already laid off staff or, don't have other people to even assist with this work. So even if they wanted to offer a discount, they couldn't, right? And so we are still doing the same volume of work or more. But people are asking business owners to operate at a lower price for less. And so I think you have to really think about, is that reasonable? Is it realistic? And as small business owners during a pandemic, I think this notion of self-care is important. And no, I'm not talking about you should take a bath or you should put on a face mask for self-care. I'm talking about psychological self-care. How can you make sure you don't end up in a really bad situation where you're in a toxic relationship with a client and you feel like, I'm kind of disrespected every day. I don't really like how this feels. I'm dreading working for this person. And that starts with your contract. It starts with adding in something into your contract, which actually lays out what does respect look like for you. And this is something that I'm actually doing right now with all of our contracts with clients, where I'm redoing them to say, this is an example of what respect is. For example, we're adding in a too many cooks in the kitchen clause. Right? That means you're laughing, right? Because I know what I'm talking about here. It means if you hire me to do a job, you're going to listen to what I'm telling you to do. You don't have to follow all of it, but you're going to let me do my job. It means you're not going to hire 5 other agencies while you're working with me. It means baseline levels of professional respect will exist in this relationship, because a major issue that I'm seeing right now is that if you look at an employer and employee, they have contracts which protect them. Freelancers, in a way, have contracts which also protect them. But if you look at vendors and agencies, we virtually have almost nothing that protects us other than just leaving the client relationship. And I am on a mission to change that. And for more business owners who are in that middle area, like I'm talking about, to feel protected with their mental health, because I think that's more important than anything else right now during this time. Because if you don't have that, which, by the way, many people don't, if you had mental health care, you're no longer seeing whoever was helping you during this time. You're basically on your own, right? You really need to protect how you are feeling every single day. And the best way to do that is to protect who you allow into your life with who you're working with.
So well said. We could talk about this topic for days, because we all have to add these. And I did laugh. You're right, because it's so true. The respect factor. I know we actually have in our contract. It's not called the respect factor. I forget how we have it worded, but it's a two-way street, right? You also have, as a client, you also have things that you have to do to follow the rules to make sure it gets done. And, I know it's popular. I mean, you're right. As agency owners, as a vendor, we really aren't protected. I mean, people at any time can shortchange whatever they want, and they expect it whenever. And especially working in the media like you and I do, we both understand the game. It's very frustrating. It's very uncontrolled. People are like, I want to be on on this day. And you're just like, yeah.
Well, and it's so unrealistic. And the other thing I'll say about that is that I'm noticing a huge change right now from people like myself or you, where, traditionally we were considered mainstream guests on national networks all the time. So something major happened during these 2 months of the pandemic, which is that we said, wait a second, why do I want to be a guest when I could be a creator? right? And we took the power back. And you're going to have thousands of people across this country saying, wait a second, I'm going to take the power back. I can host my own show. I can launch a podcast. I can do all this stuff. I don't need to wait for someone to call me. I'm going to click record myself. And that's what you're going to see change right now.
You hit the nail on the head. I couldn't agree with you more on that. It's great to see. In fact, I went out because, as you know, we've been building this show as the plane's going down the runway, I like to say. Went to go look for a part because we have a new camera. It's debuting today. And I needed a little cable. Do you know the hardest thing to find are cables that go into really nice cameras? People are filming, people are creating, and they're sick of the news. That's why people tune into our show. And they don't even have to tune into it live. That's what's great about creating this and putting these shows out and these podcasts is people can listen and go get what they want. And we have great platforms. YouTube is fabulous. And you have Instagram TV, you have Facebook, and it reaches everybody. And they can watch when they want. They consume the content when they want, and they get the news they want that's not controlled by a lobbyist or these talking heads that used to be you and I, where we can actually share the story. Instead, it's these high-level people. And no disrespect to Mark Cuban, but I'm overseeing him on my TV all the time. He's a multi-billionaire who's probably going to try to run for president in the next, 6 years. I generally believe that's why he's on TV buying TV time, just like everybody else. I mean, we just see the same faces, same places, and we're just all creating to give people the news. So, Kris, thank you so much for coming on. We need to have you on more often. Definitely need to see you around these parts more often.
Yes, I'd be happy to come back on. Thank you for having me, Eric.
Thank you, Kris. We'll see you real soon.
Okay.
Thanks.